So part of what I do now that I've gone through this being very outside of games, even though I'm a games player and I've always been interested in tech, and I've always been, when I was small, making my own websites and making my own, sound library tools and those sorts of things. Going from there, being a composer, being an artistic director, being welcomed into a certain community of games, and then through that being introduced to many other communities in games, and then the industry. Part of my struggle has also been, just as a composer, what it's like being a composer working in games. For me, working in games, I wear a number of hats. So there is the design and direction that my past lends itself to, so artistic direction and working with a lot of different people and designing those sorts of experiences, where you take all disciplines equally and they all play an interesting, different, novel role. And then going into games where the medium lends itself so well to that sort of attitude and that sort of design thinking, but then the industry doesn't. So what happens is you have these sort of habitual development pipelines where composers are often left right to the very end. And it's something that happens, I think, from whether it's the game engine not having very good audio tools that don't integrate with the rest of what's happening in the game very well, as well as in education and games degrees. Don't talk about audio at all. So what I do now, my little niche that I've carved out, is I do a lot of guest speaking sessions. I talk to development studios and I talk to composers about ways that composers can be put into the whole development pipeline rather than a week at the end. What role sound actually plays in everything. So many people I hear all the time say, I'm really interested in audio. I know that it's so important in games. My favorite score is from this game and blah, blah, blah. And then I ask them, why is that your favorite score? And they're like, it's just really good. And then, what are your favorite games with audio? Then they'll go on about just music games, Guitar Hero or Audio Surf. And I think that people, whether they are developers or composers or sound designers, haven't thought often about the actual role that sound does play and can play. So there's a really large sort of curtain between development and composers that needs to be drawn a bit. And so that's what I do when I'm teaching. I am teaching composers how to talk to developers, how to outline how they'd like to work, because often on the music side we treat developers and studios just as a client and not someone to collaborate with or someone to have more of a back and forth conversation. It's just, are they happy? Tick. Yep. What do they want? Have I fulfilled it? Yes. Done. And you wind up with all of these games where the sound is really superficial. It might be really great, but it doesn't impact at all if the player turns it off. So that back and forth conversation that everyone seems to be quite intimidated by and frightened needs to be encouraged and brought out. And we can't keep spouting that games is such an amazing interdisciplinary media when it's not, when no one works for it to be. Yeah. And it's often quite shocking for both composers and developers when all of these points are brought up that they'd have no idea about. And I'm really hoping that my work is helping that way, and that I'm teaching, and that the guest lectures and things that I do and my work with companies and with composers helps to bridge that gap a bit, and we can get some more sort of model working pipelines and things. I guess I nerd out a bit on just collaboration systems. Yeah. Part of the problem is that the teachers don't even know how to implement audio. Teachers they've got no clue what middleware or how to use any of those tools. They don't even know what role audio plays, or some of them haven't even worked with composers. And I mean, there's so much rhetoric around the teachers all being professionals and all continuing their professional lives, but they haven't even worked with a composer. You know, like, it's just it's a symptom of the industry as well, that you can come from the industry not having worked with everyone who's actually part of game development. But then it disadvantages the students, and it's disingenuous to the students, I think, as well. But that is a big problem. And it's probably on the audio side as well, that they don't know how to implement audio into games. Programmers don't. No one does. And I often pull teachers up, and I say, like, do you know how to implement audio? And they say, oh, I wish that there was audio, content in my course. And it's like, well, if you don't even know it, then how are you going to teach it?